All right, good morning, everyone. Happy Spiritual Sunday. And welcome to all our friends who are watching us on Kabbalah.com and Facebook.com. Say hello. Hello. I just heard from we have a new student from Italy, so let's say hello. Hello. Yeah, okay. Exactly. It's very nice to have them. So we're here. How many of you are new? First time? Ooh, great. Okay, a couple of you. Very nice. Thank you for joining us, and thank your friends for sharing this with you. So what are we here for? Great. We've got to learn to change consciousness. But what if we change it last week? Isn't that enough? No. Why isn't it enough? We have to do it all the time. Okay, we have to do it all the time. And how many of us are completely blissed out? Exactly. We're pretty good, not completely yet, yes? So then how many of you would like to have 100%? Yes. How many of you want 100% out there? Exactly. So that's why we have to keep upping our consciousness. Because no matter how good it gets, there's still gooder to get. Okay, I got to just make sure you're paying attention, right? There's gooder. I mean, we have 100%. The Creator already gave us everything. It's just up to us to live into it. And that's why it's important to keep growing our consciousness. So that's what we're doing here on Sunday. And as we are always starting on Sunday, we've got to infuse, it's so funny. A few people mentioned to me this week something called epigenetics. I don't know if you've heard of it. I hope you can get rid of it. Yeah, great. It's funny. When I started 30 some odd years ago in the center, my teacher, Rav Berg, used to say, Kabbalah is 50th century science, and the scientists were only in the 20th century. So we're about 3,000 years ahead. So now we've entered the 21st century. We have things like quantum physics. And those of you who hear quantum physics, you say, wow, quantum physics, that's so complicated. It must be real, and it must be way out there. And what are they telling us? They're telling us we can be in two places at once. They're telling us we can teleport. There are things that are real on a microscopic level, like Star Trek, right? To teleport and transport things across the galaxy. So we say, ooh la la. Well, for 2,000 years that we know specifically, the Kabbalah has been telling us the same thing. We can teleport, we can be in two places at once, all these things. Now comes something called epigenetics. And you can look it up on your own time, but what are they telling us? Exactly what we're about to affirm. Consciousness is everything. Mind over matter. They're now proving on a scientific level that our shift of consciousness, a person changes their perspective in life, will literally change the physiology of a person, for good or for bad. True. Good. Exactly. So that's why I want to keep us 3,000 years ahead of the curve, if that's okay with you. If they're catching up with us, we're in big trouble. Because if we're started with 3,000 years ahead and they can actually catch up to us, then what? It means we haven't been running fast enough. So every week, what are we doing here? We're running faster and faster and faster, which from our point of view, because we understand spiritual energy and the spiritual technology, we are drawing the scientists to discover new things. Because we have it from the spiritual, we can make it manifest in our lives, but on a scientific level, it takes those scientists out there to take the energy that we bring into the cosmos and then show it to the world physically. It's like before Einstein came up with the theory of relativity, Rav Ashlag, the founder of the center, wrote specifically about the concept of relativity. It just wasn't in the scientific framework. That was Einstein's job. So the same thing, you and I are here to reveal and manifest all of the different ideas that the Kabbalists have been teaching us for thousands of years, so that the rest of the world, whether scientific or not, will make it manifest in their lives. To what goal? That one day, and I know it almost sounds counter to what I said a few minutes ago, but one day, hopefully soon, because we're running fast and because we want to stay ahead of the curve, at the same time, the science will speed up and we are going to intersect. But the day we intersect, because you and I are running faster, and all of you out there and all of the students of the center, on the day that it does intersect, we know that will be the day that peace on earth manifests for the world. And so that's what you and I are here to do, is to drive ourselves as quickly as possible that we can change the face of the planet. Because there's enough chaos going out there, enough pain and suffering, that you and I should be how full of that? Enough is enough is enough is enough, and you and I have the capability to change it. So let's get started right now. We have our affirmation, if you will say it together, and all of those who are watching, join us out loud so that we can hear you here in Boca. Together, consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life, and I commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings. For us here in Boca, we're about to stand up and greet each other. For those of you online, we'll be back in a minute. But please write on the comments a greeting to each other, something that you'd like to share with each other. So let me start with a story. There's this very successful man. He's on his way to make a big business deal. He's always felt, he's successful. So everything's gone his way. He's really happy with that. And he's on his way to this big meeting. He's got everything thought out in his mind, what he's going to say, how it's going to work out, etc. And as he comes to the parking lot, can't find a parking spot. And he's starting to get worried. He's driving around, no parking spots. So he finally breaks down and he looks up in the heavens. He said, God, please help me, God. Help me find a parking spot. This is a big business deal. This could make or break everything I've done for all these years. Please, God. He says, I'll pray every day. I'll give charity. I'll help out. I'll go volunteer. And just about as he's finished, a car pulls out. He said, oh, God, never mind. Thank you. I got it. So, how does that fit today? Because today, every one of us in one way or another believe we're in control of our life. And that's what we want to understand. That we may or may not be in control, depending on what our consciousness of control is. But isn't it interesting if you think back, how many of you ever went to school? Just checking. Okay. How many? Great. You ever went to school? Yes, of course. So what do we go to school for? We go to school to be in control of our business professional life, right? You go, you get an education, you go and you work hard, and you'll be in control of your business, right? Then we learn how to be in control if you're a sports player, right? How to train, how to work out, how to practice, etc. Everything in our life is teaching us as we grow up how to be in control, how to be in control of relationship. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, now I'm embarrassing myself, but I'll tell you this anyway. Whether it's politically correct or not, it's the fact. So this is what Boca does to me. Can you believe it? So when I went to college, I lived in the dorms for my first 3 years, and I was a little bit younger than most of the guys who were there. So they were trying to take me under their wing and teach me about relationships. So I had one guy who told me, I'm going to say it, please. Don't judge me. This is what I was told. One guy told me, you treat the girl like dirt, like a dog, and she'll follow you everywhere. Then I had another guy who told me just the opposite. He says, just treat him really nice, and don't expect anything. And you'll see how fast they'll jump on you. So I'm thinking to myself, which is it? This way or this way or this way or this way? So each one had their own methodology, how they believe to control relationships. Okay, so sometimes we have those things. You go to school. I'm not telling you. That's even more embarrassing. Remember, I'm a Libra. I didn't know what to do. Okay, never mind. So, great. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Okay. So, there are many ways in our life we believe we are in control. Why? Because we see it. You went out, you applied for a job, you got the job. You saw somebody, you were attracted, you went out, you did what you needed, then you were in a relationship with them. It goes on and on. Why? It feels great. It feels good. You feel powerful. When you made something happen, when you believe you were in control, that's when you feel the power. And now you start to believe, right? Things are always going to work out your way because who's in control? We are. That's what we've been taught. You're in control of your destiny. Well then, how many of you ever had a heartbreak? A broken heart. Right? How many of you ever lost a job? How many of you, your children, have ever done something to hurt you? So then what happened? If we were in control, then what happened? That's the issue. And that's the understanding for today. We're in control till we're out of control. Right? We can believe we're in control until things fall apart and then we are out of control. What happened to the control? We now lost it. The Rav used to say many, many years ago when IBM was the biggest corporation on earth, whatever it was, billions of dollars. And then one day they lost whatever it was, 50, 60% of their value. So the Rav said, what happened? Did everybody in the corporation suddenly just in one day altogether become stupid? I mean, but how else could it happen? So you and I are here to understand what makes us believe we're in control is something called our ego. Our ego makes us believe we're in control. What is the ego really? The ego is when I think I am the source of the power in my life. That I am the source of my wisdom, my intelligence, my understanding, my capabilities, my talents. When a person believes that that I am the source, that's what the ego is. Because in that moment, what happened to their connection to the Creator, which is the infinite source of light and life force? They've just disconnected from the light force. Because if I am the source, then even let's ask a simpler question. If a person truly believed they were the source of the light force or the life force, how could they ever die? Stop and think about that. How could they die? If we are the source of light, then that light is infinite. A person should never die. So there should never have been death for all those thousands of years because so many of us believed we were in control. But now you and I have finally come to the point where we are living in an era and we're living in our life at a point we understand, you know what, we're not in control. But do we want to go the other way? And sometimes we do. We go the other way and we say, okay, you know what, you tell me what to do. I won't be in control, you'll be in control. How many of you are Libras? Wow, that's it? Okay. How many of you are Scorpios? Great. So on one hand, Kabbalistically, if you looked at it, that would be the ideal match. Why? Because most Scorpios love to tell people what to do. And most Libras like to be told what to do so we don't have to make a decision. So what could be a more perfect match? Right? The one who wants to be told what to do, the one who wants to tell what to do. Wouldn't that be the perfect match? Yes. Until when? Until either the Scorpio gets tired of having to tell that stupid Libra what to do, and the Libra's tired of hearing from the stupid Scorpio what I should be doing. Right? I think I just offended all the other Libras and the Scorpios in the room. No, it's not that way. But you understand, as long as it goes our way, we're happy. As soon as it doesn't go our way, then we're not happy. But we have to decide, which is it? We can't have both ways. We are either in control or not control. So what happens when we think our ego tells us we're in control? Now we have to manipulate everybody else to make us happy. Because being in control makes us feel happy, doesn't it? When you feel you're in control, aren't you happy? Don't you feel powerful? Well, exactly. And what are we supposed to feel? Ask anybody around us who we grew up with. Yes, you have the power, you're capable, you're the one. And so it unfortunately inundates us with the idea that yes, we should be in control. Until that moment, we're out of control. The relationship doesn't work, the kids don't listen to us, getting fired from the job, making the wrong investment, whatever it may be. What happened to our control? And that's when that opponent again jumps in. The opponent doesn't stop. The same as the light. The light will never stop giving us everything that we need as we need it. The opponent will never stop taunting us and tempting us to go against the light and that which the Creator is telling us to do until we've resolved 100% by our actions to live as channels of the light. At that moment, then, we've pretty much pushed out that opponent, that negative energy. And that's what a righteous person is. Somebody who's pushed away their opponent, and the opponent has no entrance in their life. Now, how many of you are parents? This is the toughest part, at least for me. The toughest part of being a parent is not controlling your kids. Because at some point you'll realize you can't. You can't control them. Can't control your friends, can't control your business, can't control things, your kids. Now, I've had, and this is probably why it's come this week, but I've had a lot of parents come to me and ask me about that. How do you control your kids? I said, well, control is ego. That's what we learn in the classes. It's one of the 5 aspects of ego. So, of course, every loving parent will say what? But I want the best for my kids. So I want them to do this, and this. Right? Not for me, but because of them. I want them to have a good life. I don't want them to have trouble. But you and I are now in the Kabbalah Center. We understand a bigger picture of spirituality. We understand the eternal and universal technology that Kabbalah teaches us. And we also understand that every human being comes from the light of the Creator, started in the Garden of Eden, and took on our own karma, or what we call tikkun. So your children, as when we were children, we came in this world with our own tikkun, with our own process. What we as parents and we as friends can do for each other is only influence people. But we can't manipulate them, even for what we think is their good. So I hope it will take away a lot of guilt and remorse from many of you parents. Yes, our job is to do our best to bring our children up in a spiritual environment. Teach them about love and kindness and compassion and sharing, etc. But you cannot control what they will do with it. Can't control your friends either. We have to remember who we really are. In fact, you want to think what that does. You know what the ego does to us? It does such silly things, and yet we give into it. Maybe you remember in the Bible, there was this guy called Pharaoh, right? Pharaoh of Egypt. Pharaoh had such a big ego, he thought he was a god. At the same time, he acted in many ways as a human being, so he had this conflict. So of course, his adversary, his opponent, put in his mind, no, you, Pharaoh, look, you're in control, especially at that time, 3,000 years ago, control of the whole world. You are a god. So a god does not have to go to the bathroom. So then when Pharaoh had to go to the bathroom, you know what he did? He would go into the Nile River to pretend that he was just, bathing himself, I don't know, whatever, to purify his energy even more or whatever, or bless the Nile, and he blessed the Nile. But this way people couldn't see that he had to go to the bathroom. And at least he could maintain his thought that he was a god. Think of what our ego does to us. I met a guy so shocking, but I realized in different ways we all do the same thing. Probably in the mid-90s, when I was teaching in Texas, I met a guy who tells me this story. He says a number of years earlier, he was in the garment business and he made $30 million. Pretty good, right? It's not the billion or so of the lottery, but 30 million could last us a while, probably. So then he went on with his business and he lost $30 million. Kept working in the industry. A little while later, he made himself $20 million. Now, if you and I stand back objectively listening to this story, what do you think would be the intelligent thing to do now that you've got your $20 million? Stop, put some of it aside, put 10 in the bank, and then work with the other 10. Well, guess what? He lost the whole 20 million again. And that's when I met him. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? A squirrel in New York is smarter than this guy. Because the squirrel will take those little acorns, right? Store it away for the winter when they won't grow, so that squirrel will have them for the winter. And this guy had 30, lost 30, made 20, and figured he was still in control. It wouldn't happen again. Yeah, but now, let's be honest with ourselves. How many things like that have we done? How many times have we made the same mistake again and again and again, thinking that this time it won't happen? Because they're all nodding their heads, just so you'll know. All right? We all do things like that. And this is what we're learning. Why? Because that opponent keeps telling us, oh, no. That was because of somebody else. Right? The guy lost the $30 million because of somebody else, not because of him. And didn't let him realize, well, if he thought he was in control, how could somebody else do something he's not in control of? You follow? That's how the opponent works on our head. That's how powerful it can be if we will let it be. You want to know how stupid it will make us? I just thought of this working on this talk this morning. You remember the story of the emperor with no clothes? Why did he go out with no clothes on? Because he let his ego control him to tell him no. If somebody else says they can see this wonderful suit of clothes, if he couldn't see it, it can't be he couldn't see it. Of course he could see it, even though it was nothing. So he walked out in a parade of the whole kingdom with no clothes on. Until when? And what happened to all the other people? Nobody said anything. Why? Because either they were too scared of the consequence, or their ego got in the way and said, well, no, if the king could see it and he's wearing this great clothes, this great outfit, well, I want to be like the king so I could see it too. Until when? In the story, a little kid, a child, said the truth. The emperor's got no clothes on. And then what happened? It all fell apart. Same like you and I. Think of those times we let our ego control us, and then along will come some simple thing, and we're out of control. So then what are we going to do? How are we going to change it? Why are we here learning this morning? Just to tell us we cannot control our kids, we cannot control the relationships, we cannot control the other people? Yes, exactly that. That's it, we cannot. So you and I, and most of you have taken the Kabbalah classes. If you haven't, please do. One just started, the Kabbalah 1. But we learn who we really are. And that's our greatest power. We learn in the classes from the Kabbalists that you and I are simply vessels. We're containers of the infinite light of the Creator. But being a container of that light means we have power over our destiny. We have power to control our destiny. We have power to change our future, but we have no power to make other people do what we want them to do. And we have no power to tell the cosmos what it has to do for us. Because think about where that comes from. If a person says, well, I'm going to pray and meditate, and I'm going to scan my Zohar, and I'm going to do my Hanabakok, and use all the Kabbalistic tools to make sure X, Y, Z takes place. Why are we doing that? Because it comes back to me. I want to feel good. I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel I'm in control. It's the leftovers of our ego. And you and I here in the center, yes, we may be in the center, we may be many years. Doesn't mean we've finished our ego yet. Hopefully soon, but not quite yet. How do we know? When we decide what we want and we're telling the cosmos what to do. And we're forgetting that we're in a contract with the Creator. The Creator gave us desire, gave us a vessel to want joy and happiness and peace all the time, and gave us the light to fulfill that. But then it's in our hands to make it happen. We don't want to be the emperor in no clothes, but that's sometimes what we do. We go out with our ego. How many of you have looked at other people and seen their ego? If we could see their ego, why can't they see it? Or when people look at us and say, we have the ego, how come we can't see it? Because that's the power of that ego. That's the power of the opponent in our head. He makes us so subjective that we can't see ourselves. Because why? We're all coming with good intent. That's why every week we have to keep raising our consciousness. Keep joining together and keep affirming and understanding and learning more. Because we've got to keep raising our consciousness to realize where my ego is so I can get rid of it. Because when I can't find my ego, how am I going to fix it? When I can't see about myself where I'm holding myself back and not letting all the blessings the Creator gave me be manifest, then I can't let all those blessings manifest. Letting our ego run away with us. And we have to start realizing we have never been able to tell the cosmos what to do. We've only been able to use our vessel like a hose. All we can do is direct where we put our light. Think of the farmer. The farmer goes out to water the field. They can put water all over the barren field where they didn't put seeds, and they can water and water and water forever. Will the seeds or the trees or the plants ever grow? No, because there's no seeds there. Or they can turn to where there are seeds, where it's fertile soil, and they can put the water there, and then it will grow. So who's in charge of whether it grew or not? Not the farmer. The seeds, what was already there. The Creator already gave us everything and gave us the ability to direct the light of the Creator that flows through us. So we can only decide where we're going to put our light. So if it comes back to what I want and what I think is important for me to have now, or the form it should be, then who's going to be smarter? I mean, my grandfather used to look at me and he used to say, who's smarter, Youtst or meetst? You or me? So of course it was my grandfather. But then he'd say, so who's smarter, you or God? Sometimes we act like we think we're smarter than God. But you and I now, we've come to understand, no, the light is infinite. It's all-knowing, all-powerful, and it only wants the best for us. The best. But we have to be willing to let go. We have to be willing to just direct the light and trust that the cosmos is going to bring us good. But that's difficult for us because we don't grow up that way. We grow up being told, and you and I as parents may have told that to our kids also. You got to go out and do it, and you got to go achieve it, and you're the one, and you've got the intelligence, etc. And unknowingly, unwittingly, we've given them the same ego that we came with. But it was out of good intent, because we only want good for our children, we only want good for our friends. And that's where we have to be more careful and more conscious. Where are we directing our light? In alignment with what the Creator gave us, or out of alignment and listening to that voice of the opponent? We've got to start thinking. So then what are we going to do? Should we then just because I hear him already. You know, he works this way, this extreme, this opponent. And then when you catch him over here, then he'll take you way over on the other side, which is just two sides of the same coin of ego and manipulation, and not just being a channel of the light. So am I telling you just do nothing? Sit back, sit on the couch, and you say, you know, Chaim told us, just trust the light of the Creator. No, we came into the physical body, flesh and blood, to do physical acts. But those physical acts come with consciousness. And as our consciousness is raised, then those same physical acts we did yesterday, out of the ego, today we can do even the same thing, but now we're channeling the light. And our thought is, what's good for the other person? How can I channel the light that the Creator gave me to let the Creator now make grow and flourish whatever is right for that person, and at the same time for me? Because if I'm letting more light come out of me, then that which the Creator gave me will become manifest. It will start to appear. It's interesting, I'm just thinking there are kids' toys invisible ink. You ever seen these things? Like they draw, you don't see anything, then you put this whatever magic chemical on there, and suddenly everything shows up. So that's our job. The Creator already put everything out in front of us. Our job is to water it, to nourish it, if you will, by channeling the light and nothing but the light, for the sake of the light and the good of them and us, and letting the cosmos reveal what's the best and the highest. That's our work. Not to tell the Creator what we need to do or what we need to have or how the Creator has to behave for my good. Do you think the Creator doesn't know what's good for us? Or the Creator doesn't want to give it to us? Think about it. That's how probably many of us grew up. Well, God is watching, but isn't sure what you think is good for you, so you've got to pray and tell God what's good for you. So that God will say, oh, hadn't thought of that. Let me give it to you. I mean, really, when we're objective, think of some of the silliness of the way we grew up. Now we're here, we're understanding, like this light, like the light in the room. Does it stop shining if we stop believing in it? Does it stop shining if we close our eyes? Does it stop shining if we don't want to make use of it? It's shining all the time. The light of the Creator is also shining all the time. It's the issue is, are we open and channeling that light? Everybody's talking about channels. The last 20 years I know of, I know this guy's a channel, and this person's a channel, and this. We're all channels. Who's not a channel? Every one of us were created by the Creator as a vessel or a channel, a conduit of light. Our free will is which way we're going to direct it. Unfortunately, which is ultimately, though, for our good, we have that opponent that's trying to get us to throw the light the other way. Because why? Easy come, easy go. You ever heard that phrase? Easy come, easy go? Or what does it mean to take something for granted? It means it's always there, it's been in front of you, it's always around you, but you're not giving it attention. You're not consciously connecting and making use of it, and therefore it's as if it doesn't exist for you. When do we start to stop taking things for granted? The moment either they're about to go away or they have gone away. Then suddenly they were the most valuable thing. You have no idea how many times growing up, we used to have one cabinet with a bunch of knickknacks. So of course, if you ask me, Chaim, what is in that cabinet? I couldn't tell you all the things, but let one of the other kids come over, even my friends, and they're looking at this, they go, oh, Chaim, look at this. This is really great. And I knew the next thing, or at least I thought the next thing was, do you think I could have it? Because that's what kids do. All of a sudden, it was my most valued possession. 2 minutes ago, I couldn't remember it was up there, but let somebody else point at it, and almost like with that desire, suddenly now, no, you can't have, you know what, my favorite. And that's how we are. Today, let's just start taking control. So what do you say? Because I know some of you say, yes, but you see people around. Look at the world. We have people around us, close loved ones, who are out of control in one way or another, that we can see starting to head down the wrong path. What can we do? Are we saying now there's nothing we can do? You still love them. You still want to see them have good and not fall in the wrong path. So the only thing we can do is the only thing we're capable to do. Channel light. And I know after 30 years in the center, people still take that like it's, so what's it going to do? But remember, we're talking the infinite light of the Creator. There's nothing more powerful and nothing that's filled with more love and goodness and kindness and only wanting the best and capable to do the best. So we start to see people going down the wrong path. Our job is to speed up their process of turning around. A pilot. Pilot is in control of the plane, yes or yes? Yes. The pilot, though, even within the frame of a pilot, has to use all the gadgets to make the plane go. So they're still using a technology to direct the plane. But the pilot, we say, in one level, is in charge of the plane. But in order to make sure that all the pilots and all the flights that are going don't run into each other, what do they all connect with? Air traffic control. But a pilot could have the ego. I'm running this huge multi-million dollar machine. I'm telling it where to go. I'm directing it. I've got all these passengers, right, under my control. Scary, huh? I remember as a kid, I couldn't fathom how one guy or a couple guys in the front of this huge plane were directing the whole plane. It just, as a kid, didn't seem logical, right? That they're just up here in the cockpit, that's 5% or 3% of the whole airplane, and they're running the whole thing. It was out of balance in my mind. But this is the idea. We have to connect. Yes, we're in charge of directing the light, but there's a spiritual air traffic control that's directing you and me and everyone else. So when we're directing our light for the sake of the light and the goodness of everybody else, then the Creator's pre-programmed goodness, operation, technology will take over and direct all of us in the right way. So when we see people or we feel ourselves getting out of control or heading down the wrong path, just start sending so much light that we awaken the light inside their soul, that it will speed up their connection to the spiritual air traffic control, and they'll realize they're going in the wrong direction, and they will hear, like we do with our GPS. You make the wrong turn, what does the GPS do? Recalculating, which is another term for you messed up and made the wrong turn, go back. But that wouldn't work very well. You know, I have people who tell me, just this weekend, I had people tell me both the same thing, but opposite. I had one woman tell me, yes, she knew that she could change the voice on her GPS to a male voice, but didn't want to feel like some man was telling her what to do. About 20 minutes later, I heard the same thing from a man, right? I don't want a woman to tell me what to do. Keeps just a man's voice on there. Our job is let the voice of the Creator. And you know what the voice of the Creator sounds like? Sounds like ourselves. The voice of the Creator in our head sounds like ourselves. Unfortunately, the voice of the opponent also sounds like ourselves. And that's why we're here learning. What's the technology will allow us to shine the light for the sake of the light and for the goodness that comes from it? And as you're shining light on those people, your friends, your loved ones that are going down that wrong path, it will awaken the light inside them, connect them in a more powerful, a stronger, and a quicker way to the light of the Creator. And this is the tough part, for we the loved ones, it's going to make them probably at first feel so uncomfortable by their negative behavior that then they will want to change. But it's much better, as difficult as I know it is for us, the loved ones, to see them going through pain. But you and I have to realize, better they have the pain now and not fall to the bottom of the bottom to then be able to turn around. Better we feel the pain now and turn around now as if where we are now is the bottom. So you and I are here learning how to create in our minds the bottom now. If we're channeling the light, it's good for us, it's good for them. Speeds up our process and it will speed up their process. And you will start to see things shift because we're connecting all to that spiritual air traffic control that only wants the best for each and every one of us. So today, as we will take control over ourselves, be responsible for how we channel the light. And just channel the light unconditionally to every person. Yes, I always teach students you can weave it through any way you want. You can weave it through your family and friends. If you know somebody who is in trouble, send it to them and through them to everybody else. But eventually, if you weave it to 7.5 billion people on the planet, then everybody's having a spiritual awakening. And then everybody's speeding up their process to manifest, to uncover the pure and perfect being of light that you and I know that we are and they are. And the faster we can reveal in the light, in the cosmos, a critical mass of light then every human being out there who's in the wrong path or doing the things we don't like or don't think is going to bring people to a higher level, we will be able to change that, because every one of us are just channels of the light, and we're run by the influence around us. So as you and I now are channeling more and more light for the sake of everybody else, unconditional love, then we will bring the cosmos to be the majority light and not darkness. Then everybody out there, because we are all just conduits, the opponent will have no more influence on us, and then the only thing coming through us will be the light of the Creator. And it's on that day when the prophets say, humanity, you and I, on that day, He and His name will be one, which means, Kabbalistically, you and I as human beings will be absolutely one and unified with each other, and one and unified with the Creator, and peace and love will reign in the world. God bless. Okay. I hope so. Strong for me. That's okay. No, it's funny. Every time, we do this virtually every Sunday, and I always find, one of the things the Rav always taught us, and Karen's now emphasizing as teachers, our job is just to think, channel the light. Like we're saying, just what's good for the student. Don't think what's good for us. Don't think what's in our agenda, but think what's good for the student. Because even as teachers, we can look at the students as children, if you will, and of course we want the best for all the students. But we also have to let the Creator tell us what's best for each person, as we as a parent do for our kids. So Karen says, sometimes for a teacher, probably for all of us, the biggest distance on earth is the distance between our mouth and our ear. Because we often will, when a friend will come and you'll be thinking, what can I share with a friend to help them? 99 times out of 100, if you really listen, you have your own answer at the same time. Something that's bothering you, if you're channeling the light, they'll get an answer and you'll get an answer. Because the light is for all of us, it's always win-win. And so like this, so when I'm preparing these Sundays, I'm always waiting for inspiration. I'm asking, opening myself up, what can I share, what message? And I'm telling you, 99 times out of 100, if not really 100% of the time, I get my own messages and my own solution. And that's what makes this, for me, so important. Because I know if I'm helping you, then I'm also getting helped. Which is what I've been doing for all the years in the center, learning more and more how to do that. And just the same with you. You'll go out now, you'll channel the light, you'll get your own answers at the same time you're sharing answers with other people. And that's the beauty of it. None of us are that different. We're all channels of the light, and the Creator will give us all our unique answer as we'll let it be that way. And that's why we're here. Don't look at anyone else and say, well, but they do it this way and they're doing this. No, we all have our own way to channel the light, or our own answers as we're channeling the light, and let it be. Just listen as you're sending the light out to everybody else, and you'll hear your own answer. So as we do every Sunday, and especially for the new people, we are a charitable organization. We're run on the donations that you share with us in helping us to spread this message and this wisdom throughout the world. And I just want to share with you, I just got this, just found it in my email. It's from a student who listens on Sundays and also taking the classes. And he writes like this: he's been challenged and working hard at this point all week, but he realizes that the opponent has also been winning. He'll win, the opponent will win. He'll win, the opponent will win. He says, then I was listening to one of the classes, and I'm wondering why this is happening again and again and again. And he says, in my Virgo mind, I was craving for deeper information. He says, then he realized it was really my ego in a critical, restless state throughout the week due to having to leave a job to care for 2 family members, which have material limits, and the ego of resentment towards other family members who never offer to help me even a little bit to relieve the pressure. And it never seems fair, nor that I can earn the same money that I used to. All of this has been coming to the fore this week. I was full of angst, having to go through another year like this. I love my family and glad that I'm the right one to help and that they are alive, but I miss the other things in my life. So it's a conflict of interest. Then he says, then it came to your meditation that we do here, that we'll do in a few minutes. I placed my hand on my heart, and then as we got deeper, when I asked the Creator to give me a message, the words that kept repeating in my head were, do it for love and not what's fair. Do it for love and not what's fair. So, obviously, he's much happier now that he's let go of the resentment and the hurt in his life, and there are many more good things that are happening. And this is what we're supporting. This is what we're creating around the world. And this is why I ask, and while you're still on with us, why send me the stories. These are the kinds of stories that will inspire other people. Because sometimes that ego that separates us from each other and from the Creator makes us think what we're going through is unique. Nobody's going through what I'm going through. You ever thought that? When we hear these stories, one of us, at least, are going to hear something that inspires us, that relates with us. Maybe some of you have no issues with your family. Maybe some of you do, that they're not pulling their weight, so to speak. Now you hear a story like this, it inspires you, it moves you forward, you're shining more light in the world, affecting other people just walking down the street. Remember, if you're radiating light, then when you go shopping, even if you're not looking directly or speaking or interacting directly with somebody, you're still radiating light. And the more light you radiate, the more you're awakening inside their soul. And the faster we speed the process. Because then they will go out and they will be shining with more light, and they'll be affecting people that they don't know, who will be affecting more and more. And with, what do they call it, 6 or 7 degrees of separation? We can touch every human being on earth like this, instantly. All we have to do is keep channeling that light and radiating that light. So let's take a minute just to bless your offering. And those of you who are with us online, please join us for the meditation. And then you're welcome to go on the Facebook page and make your donation there. So just hold it in your hand, close your eyes. Because again, this donation, this contribution is a vessel. It's a container. And that's why we want to make sure we're putting in our love and our light and our blessings. And we're putting in the consciousness that our gift will go out and reach 7.5 billion people. It'll touch their heart and soul, bringing them to a stronger and a higher realization of the light of the Creator inside them. That today we impact every human being on earth to make at least one transformation into the light. With gratitude and appreciation for all that the Creator's given us to be able to share these gifts. We give thanks. We know that it's going out to reveal good for others as well as ourselves, to bring peace and harmony to the world. And we open our eyes and we say together, Amen. Let's wish all of our friends online a happy week. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us.